Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Never a dull moment these days. Incredible the pace at which the news cycle churns. So much crammed in. I shouldn't say the pace. I should say the density. There's just so much going on every day. Tonight, Donald Trump and Melania both calling for the scalp of Jimmy Kimmel. Again. Yeah, they're calling on ABC to fire the late night host because of a joke he made. We'll tell you about that. Some of you may have heard already. I'll try to add a little bit more to that tonight. What else do we have going on? King Charles is in America. And I'll have a fun fact for you confirming something that someone else has been saying online that might make you laugh, might make you cringe. Also, Iran offers Donald Trump a new deal on the Strait of Hormuz. We're not sure if he's going to take it or not. What else do we have? The big announcement from Mark Carney today about establishing a sovereign wealth fund. What's that? Have you ever heard of a sovereign wealth fund? Canada has never had one of those before. I'm going to look in the chat here just briefly. We're live and kicking on all channels. We're rocking and rolling, I believe. You tell me in the chat, have you ever heard of a sovereign wealth fund? As I look in the chat, I'm going to go to a break. I'll look in there. And when we come back, I'll start digging into today's top news stories. And you let me know in that chat. I'm going to be dipping in there a little bit from time to time as we weave our way through today's top news stories, all the way over to Mark Carney's big announcement today. Something a little bit different, a lot different, actually, than anything that has been done in Canada before, but it has been done in other countries. So stay with me. I'll be right back on the other side of this.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
The fallout from the, I guess, attempted assassination of Donald Trump and maybe other members of his administration continues tonight. The suspect in the whole thing has been arraigned now in court. First court appearance today. This man accused of opening fire outside the White House Correspondents Association dinner. He has been charged as of today with attempting to assassinate the President of the United States. Cole Thomas Allen, 31 years old, California teacher, engineer. He seemed to believe it was his duty to target Trump administration officials. This, according to a note or a manifesto, as it has been described. A note or a manifesto, which we read on the air for you yesterday. He sent it off to his family minutes before initiating the attack. And then it's just chaos that has ensued since then. Not just at the White House Correspondents Association dinner, but online as well, which is these days predictable. Here's Attorney General Todd Blanche in relation to the arraignment.
Just to go through very quickly the timeline, which many of you in this room already know. The defendant, Allen, made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for April 24th through April 26th. On April 21st of this year, he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C. On April 24th, he arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and checked into the Washington Hilton. Approximately at 8:40 on the night of April 25th, Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level of the hotel, which is, again, a floor above where the dinner was taking place. He ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so, U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. One Secret Service officer was shot in the chest, but was wearing a ballistic vest that worked. This heroic officer who was hit fired 5 times at Allen, who was not shot but fell to the ground and was promptly arrested.
So we it's been, like, as I said, chaotic, and the stories circulating online, the conspiracy theories, I have to say, some of the stuff pretty darn weird. You got to admit that some of the stuff is pretty weird, but I suppose if you go looking for weirdness, you're apt to find it. That certainly seems to be a lot of what is in play here tonight, and yet the weirdness is undeniable. All kinds of things being said, and I understand why. Look, Trump himself has been at the center of a lot of this kind of crazy mania, the weird stuff. He's obviously sending at times direct messages or cues to Q. He's doing that kind of thing. He's playing with people psychologically through his propaganda. And then you get this. And his divisive, toxic rhetoric deepens the divisions in the country. But tonight, of course, you get the people in the Trump camp, because of this attempted assassination, they're pointing the finger at Trump's opponents, saying, you guys all have to, dial this back. You have to stop being so critical of the president, because this is what's caused this kind of violence. This is the third serious assassination attempt on the president in 3 years. And so there is clearly something wrong. There is a mania online. There's no doubt about it. But I wouldn't say that. I think both sides are involved in propaganda, information warfare, psychological manipulation, and not just them. I think foreign governments are doing it too. Online social media platforms have become freaking dangerous, in my personal opinion. Here's a headline from NBC. Fueling all this false flag conspiracy theory swirl around White House Correspondents' dinner attack. Baseless claims that the incident was staged swirled almost immediately. By the next day, the idea had spread across social media. Even Trump noted the speed. Even Trump. Even Trump. And people sending me stuff, overnight. It's been a constant deluge, and I'm seeing, very stuff that's just clearly, obviously fake. But some people who are not media savvy or media literate, even social media literate, getting duped by a lot of the stuff. And yeah, I mean, some of the stuff very convincing. Case in point, I showed you a video last night of the suspect, wheelchair, at a tech conference because he was a student at Caltech back in, I think it was 2017, and he had developed this prototype for a brake for a wheelchair, just was made out of PVC pipe. But he was interviewed on a local television station for this event at the time. Well, later in that report, there's a clip of a woman standing there with a microphone, and it's not a long clip, but the woman kind of sort of looks like Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife. So people started posting that Usha Vance knows the suspect, saying that they appeared in this video together. Then you see all these AI-generated images of the two of them together. And, I should show you this, okay? And then it turns into clickbait. Usha Vance. I hadn't thought of this, so I'll find it for you now. Usha Vance and Cole Allen. Video. If they left it up, a lot of maybe they've taken it down. No, here it is. It's right here. Okay, they still left it up. Hindustan Times and other like some other sort of major media outlets. Hindustan Times filtering it through to this. Cole Allen seen in chilling video with Usha Vance, ? A nearly decade-old television interview of White House correspondent and her shooting suspect, Cole Thomas Allen, has surfaced. So, and it says, here's the truth about WHCD shooter. I'm like, well, okay. So that's a picture of Usha Vance, but that's a picture of the suspect. But neither of those images comes from the video in question. You scroll down, but you have to, and they'll tell you the truth, but you have to scroll down, way down. It says here, meanwhile, several social media users pointed out that they could see Usha Vance like Usha Vance-like woman in the video. However, that is not the case. Grok issued a fact check, so they did a fact check online, and it's not her because she wasn't even in that city at the time. They know she wasn't because she was working in another city far, far away. Says the woman in the video is not Usha Vance. In February 2017, Vance was clerking for the Supreme Court in D.C., not presenting at this L.A. tech conference. The image from the video kind of does sort of look like her, maybe. It's sort of a long shot, but it's not her. But hey, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And that went viral. Boy, I'll tell you. If I wanted to build this channel, all I would have to do is follow that lead. And you see the Hindustan Times, they're baiting you with the headline, and you have to go halfway down the story to find out that it isn't actually true. So they built a whole story on false information, which is wrapped around a grain of truth, which is that the suspect is in the video, but Usha Vance isn't. It's just a woman, kind of looks like her. Brother. Anyway, when it was sent to me, I was like, holy crap. And, it's easy to initially get sucked into that. If you don't check, you'll believe it. And I'm sure that probably millions of people tonight do as a result of that. But they're deceiving you, deceiving me, deceiving all of us. I think it's irresponsible. Shameful, actually. Donald Trump, Melania, they're pissed after all of this. They're calling for Jimmy Kimmel's scalp. Because as a result of all of this, this is the other weirdness in it all, okay? You had Caroline Leavitt at the event saying there are going to be shots fired. Okay. Is that like foreshadowing with knowledge, or was that just something that came up as a turn of phrase? A coincidence leading into this, and then you got what happened. Well, who knows? This is why people start to, connect dots, and then whether it's legitimate methodology is questionable, but people jump to conclusions, and there's, she knew the whole thing was planned. So I get it, and I have to admit, it's weird. It's weird. I'm not saying that it is planned, but these days, with Trump and the propaganda and everything going on, I just don't know anymore. Because I would say nothing would surprise me at this point with this administration. And given that he's so far down with his approval rating, and he's in trouble politically, you're heading into these midterms, he needs to do something to turn things around and distract from, everything else going on around him, because right now he's been just destructing the whole MAGA support base for him has been just crumbling and drifting away. And this war with Iran, it is spiraling out of control. He's lost control. Well, now as a result of this, the fallout from the assassination attempt continues tonight. And Trump upset, as is Melania, about this video with Jimmy Kimmel, which was, again, it's kind of weird. Because I'll play it for you. He wants Jimmy Kimmel fired again. Again. Over this. Here we go.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
He obviously was not going to be invited to speak at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. He wasn't going to be allowed to talk there, so they did this sort of fake thing on the Kimmel show in the nights before, and he made that joke. So, of course, the president and Melania just livid. Here's what Trump posted online today. He says, "Wow, Jimmy Kimmel, who is in no way funny, as attested to by his terrible television ratings, made a statement on his show that is really shocking. He showed a fake video of the First Lady, Melania, and our son Barron like they were actually sitting in his studio listening to him speak, which they weren't and never would be. He then stated, our First Lady, Melania, is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow." A day later, a lunatic tried entering the ballroom of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, loaded up with a shotgun, handgun, and many knives. He was there for a very obvious and sinister reason. I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence and normally would not be responsive to anything that he said. But, yes, he would be and has been. But this is something far beyond the pale. Jimmy Kimmel should be immediately fired by Disney and ABC. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Wouldn't normally be responsive. Yeah, at times he's been completely fixated on Jimmy Kimmel. It became a huge thing. He wanted the guy fired. He got him fired, and then Kimmel got to come back, sort of, like kind of got fired, but didn't get fired, suspended, whatever. Now here we go again. Boy, I'll tell you, this incident at the Correspondents Association dinner, it has given Trump pretty much everything he probably was hoping for right now. The huge distraction. The ability now to, at least for the next few days, maybe a week or so, kind of keep the media at bay. You're not allowed to criticize Trump now. You're not allowed to criticize him because, boy, if you do, you are fueling the anger that leads to violence like this. It comes from both sides. And I don't think that's really an appropriate joke. I don't think it's right. I don't think that, any call for someone, whether you're calling for him to be shot or any act of violence, or even just for someone to die. I hear people talking about, I hope Trump dies, they say, not me. Hope Trump dies from a heart attack from all the McDonald's that he eats. I've heard people say that. I don't want Trump to keel over and die because he has a heart attack. But some people do talk like that. It's okay to acknowledge that maybe he doesn't eat healthy and his health might be in question. And then Trump turns around and says that the shooter is a crazed lunatic. This coming from a president whose own mental faculties, his own mental health has been called into question over the last few weeks. And now he has this new layer of Teflon on him. So, as I pointed out last night, I don't know what's more insane. The guy trying to get in to commit a huge act of violence, or having some guy who has presidential immunity and therefore a ticket, a license essentially to commit acts of violence against even entire countries, calling for, I don't know which is more insane, what the would-be assassin did or what any leader of any country does when they bomb people, or when you call for the annihilation of an entire society, to just literally wipe them out, calling for a genocide online. And even if that's just a negotiating tactic, I think that is crazy. That, to me, that's irresponsible. Oh, he doesn't mean it. It's just Trump being Trump. Well, I take exception to it. I don't like it when any leader threatens somebody with that level of violence. Defensive action's cool, but not cool, but necessary. I understand. But you have to defend your country. But to say that you're going to do that? Or at times I've criticized Vladimir Putin because he has also threatened to use nuclear weapons, which I think is irresponsible. It scares people to no end. Yeah, well, that's the point. Well, I don't care. You shouldn't do that. That's insane. Absolutely freaking insane. And the other weird part of all of this is the security itself. You have Kash Patel, you have the Trump administration saying that the whole thing worked. It was great, and we did our jobs. Caroline Leavitt today, news conference at the White House. She came back. She was supposed to be gone on maternity leave now, but no, she was there. She stood up. She felt it was important to come back for today's press briefing. And she says, it was only seconds before everyone was whisked away to safety. But I'll tell you, it does raise serious questions, and it will all be reviewed. to see if there's anything that should be done differently in the future to protect the president. And I would say pretty clear that, there should be some things done to protect the president differently, because I don't think that the security was nearly as tight as it should be. First of all, we're at war. Well, the United States is at war. Canada is not. But the U.S. is at war with Iran. Why was Trump able to take out the leadership of Iran? Because they all gathered in one place. What did they do at the White House Correspondents Association dinner? They all gathered in one place. Then beyond that, protesters were actually able to get into the front lobby. Now, maybe they didn't get close enough to be a threat in terms of maybe shooting someone, but even just allowing people who have not been properly searched for weapons to make sure you know who it is that's coming and going from the building, a hotel, that can present a greater threat. Someone could come in with an explosive device of some kind. It could happen. And that's not being paranoid. That's being realistic. You have the President of the United States, most powerful man in the world, a man who is extremely controversial, triggers a lot of people, and there are a lot of people out there, many of them unhinged, who would like to get at him and others from his administration to do harm. And yet, here we are, as that night with the event just beginning, people arriving, and this was caught on a hot mic. This is the Fox crew out in the lobby, basically telling people, well, not telling people, they didn't think people would find out about this, I guess. Hot mic, off, not being broadcast, but we've got the clip, basically saying that the security is a joke. Listen, like, they didn't even have proper security at the door of the hotel.
I love that they have, like, two random chicks holding the front door open. We're not even trying anymore. It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door. Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like she's fine. Just like they might as well put a doorstop in. Like, they put up a doorstop and a scarecrow. Don't fuck with this guy.
Oops. Are we live?
Holding the front door open.
Yeah, the feed's still going back to the station.
We're not even trying anymore.
Listen to him. Not even trying anymore. Could just use a doorstop. They've got a couple of chicks, he says, at the front door holding it open for people, coming and going. That's how the protesters got in. That's how the guy got
like
in.
they might as well put a doorstop in.
I guess. He was a guest at the hotel that checked in.
Don't fuck with this guy.
Let's put a scarecrow at the front door.
I love like two random chicks holding the front door open. We're not even trying anymore. It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door. Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like she's fine. Just like they might as well put a doorstop in. Like, they put up a doorstop and a scarecrow. Don't fuck with this guy.
Wow. So that night, when we were live streaming it, and we had it live here, I said, it's a difficult thing. You have to protect the rights of people to protest, but at the same time, you need to provide security. And Trump, of course, now saying, this is why we need the big ballroom built, and as quickly as possible, so we can have events like this in a secure environment. And that alone is fueling speculation and conspiracy theories. And the big question is, why was the security so lax? Well, we're being told that the security was tight, tight, tight. Obviously, not nearly as tight as it should be. Not when you have the President of the United States there, and certainly not during a time of war. King Charles has arrived in America. This is the big visit, diplomatic effort. We have King Charles III and Queen Camilla in the United States right now. They touched down earlier, kicking off a historic 4-day state visit hosted by President Trump and the First Lady, Melania, who wants Jimmy Kimmel's scalp. I don't think ABC has responded yet. We're waiting. Will Kimmel be fired? I don't know, but the king has arrived, and he's been upstaged by Trump's incident at the WCHA dinner. The royal couple arrived at Joint Base Andrews this afternoon, and then they went straight on over to the White House, where they were greeted with full honors and joined the Trumps for an afternoon tea. The visit marks America's 250th anniversary of independence. It is the first official state trip by a British monarch. No, I don't know if that's really quite true, but I'm going to check that. I don't think that's true. Anyway, Charles expected to deliver an address to a joint session of Congress tomorrow, followed by a formal state dinner. The itinerary also includes stops in New York and Virginia, and before the visit wraps up Thursday. We have a picture here of the king, also Canada's king. And people go, yeah, it's we have Britain's king. No, actually, the king is Canada's king. And Canada is a sovereign country, and people think that it's like we have Britain's king rules over us, and that's not true. The king is Canada's king. Yeah, he's the king of Britain too, but he is our king. Like, singularly now. It's not like it... Anyway, don't need to get into that tonight. People don't understand a lot of things about the way our system works and our history. We're going to get into a little bit of that a little bit later, but here's the king, Charles, arriving and having a shake-off with the Trumpster. See Trump's hand outstretched here, and he's getting ready for the big power shake. And the king, Charles, having none of it. Watch what happens. And there it is, and it's like, no, I'm not letting you pull my hand into your body. I'm not your boy. Oh, the testosterone, the masculine. It's a macho contest between the two. One more time. Ugh. Do you feel that? Do you feel the power? That's Trump's thing. That's his thing, baby. The big handshake. Gotta show who's in charge. Here's a little bit more. At the White House. Little clip. They went to a beehive today, too. A new beehive, I guess they have like a honeybee thing at the White House. They went into the back. I'd be like, I'm not going back there. I'm gonna get stung. You ever been stung by a bee? I have. Some people are allergic. I don't know if I'm allergic, but man, it hurts. Got one right in the finger one day when I was a kid. The pain. I'll never forget it. Yeah, my finger swelled up so big I couldn't move my hand. My whole hand swelled up, actually. I hate that. Absolutely freaking hate that. Fun fact. This is the one I was going to share with you, actually. Alex Jones has been going on about the king being a descendant of Count Dracula. It's true. It is. It's true. I had to look it up. But it's like he's a distant relative descendant of Vlad the Impaler. It's true because all these royal families over many, many generations have been, intermarrying. And so there is a sort of an indirect, distant connection. And even King Charles himself, I guess, was in a documentary about the Carpathian Mountains. And he jokes about it. He says, the genealogy shows I am descended from Vlad the Impaler, so I do have a bit of a stake in the country. It was a pun at the time. He has owned or has conservation properties there. But it's not a closer direct descent like father to son. European royalty, as I said, kind of intermarried extensively over many centuries, so distant connections to medieval figures are common among many nobles. The link runs through a really complex lines involving Romanian, German, and other European nobility, and some historians have noted that uncertainties in female line records from Wallachia, but the connection is widely accepted, I guess, and has even been documented by sources like Encyclopedia Britannica and even royal genealogists. So it's a fun thing to know. Of course, Alex Jones making hay with it and using that as a way to get people, more emotionally engaged. He's basically a vampire. He's a descendant of Count Dracula. I heard the post today online. I'd heard things like that before and understood that there might be some validity to it. But I looked it up earlier in the day, and it is true. So if anybody says that and tries to tell you that's a conspiracy theory, nuh-uh, it's true. Anyway, the big royal visit's on, and we shall continue on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I wanted to point something out to you. We run a transition here on the program showing all those news outlets using that same phrasing, threat to our democracy. And I know that probably most of you, maybe all of you, view that it's been that's actually a viral video compilation that really has been circulating online since at least, I think, probably 10 years. It's been out for quite a long time. And really surfaced around the time that Trump came down the escalator. It really made the rounds. People, of course, say, see, you can't trust the mainstream media. And they're all out to get Trump. They're all negative, and of course they're fueling the anger and the hatred. That's what led to what happened at the dinner with the attempted assassination. But here's something that I think is lost on a lot of people. That's all blamed essentially on the left, right? But what you might not realize is all of those anchors are from Sinclair broadcasting stations in the United States. They were all given scripts to read, essentially, or talking points. They're all using the same language. I'll run it for you. And the thing is, Sinclair Broadcasting is not really like a left-wing Democrat network of stations. It's viewed by most as pro-Trump, pro-MAGA. The broadcast company itself sort of denies that. They say they're focused more on local broadcasting and trying to be unbiased. But the perception out there, even among MAGA supporters, is that Sinclair is it's sort of like a network of affiliate stations akin to like Fox. I'll play this for you and just keep it in mind, because I think people's perceptions are really prejudiced, biased in many ways. And if you watch this, the assumption is you can't trust the mainstream media and it's all fake news, just like Trump said. And yet these are stations that are kind of, we'll say, MAGA-leaning.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publishing things that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
With that little nugget of information, it kind of makes you think, doesn't it? Who's on which side? Which side is on the other side? Are they all on the same side? You decide for yourself. I'm just here to try and get you a little closer to the truth. Be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So, all I can say is question everything. Don't take it at face value. You're going to get some truth. You're going to get some spin. You're going to get some outright lies. What I'm finding, just me, is that a lot of the stuff I'm seeing online, which is less regulated, it's the Wild West, getting a whole lot of lying going on over there. In here, in this matrix, this information, social media information ecosystem. Yeah, that's why Manitoba's premier calling for a ban for children using social media. Oh, yeah. He's been talking about it. He says it's going to go ahead. And so, of course, you get the predictable pushback from the conservative side because Wab Kimmel is on the left. But I don't know if it's so much a left-right issue because even Polyev today came out and said he would support restrictions, especially for youth. And we'll see where it goes. I think you're going to hear more about it. I have serious concerns. If I still had young kids, my kids are grown, very concerned about having my kids exposed to what's going on online. Yeah, I'm concerned about the algorithms. I'm concerned about them being bombarded with all of this crazy stuff online, a lot of it not truthful. How do you make sure that your kids are getting good information and not stuff that is going to drive them literally crazy? And if they're on platforms, I don't care if it is X or Facebook, there's a ton of like just sexual content on there. You know, when I was growing up, there were restrictions on what kids could get access to. You couldn't, in most cases, just walk into a store as a kid and just start buying up adult magazines. There were videos. In fact, when I was a kid, hardcore X-rated video content, you couldn't get it in Ontario. It was banned. But over time, we've had this progression toward more and more explicit content. Now they have, I didn't even know this until, it was about 6 months ago. I found out that there's like actual hardcore pornography on X. You can find it. It's out there. That means that if your kids are on there, they can be exposed to that. I'm sure that if I had kids, I wouldn't really want them exposed to that stuff straight up, where they could access it. But some people are saying, "Oh, it's censorship and it's the nanny state." Well, we're talking about kids, man, and I personally don't think that it's a problem to require social media companies to restrict access to their platforms to kids. If not outright, then maybe more appropriately, make sure that there's some sort of a safeguard in place so that if a kid has an account online, they won't be exposed to explicit or dangerous content. We're into a whole new, we're into uncharted territory, aren't we, with regard to media content and our society. See where it goes. Very difficult. Oh, speaking of which, before we get into some of this other stuff, the video platform DLive, which we've been live streaming to, it's toast. I didn't even know this was going on, but tonight, if you go there, it's now officially toast. Out of business. So long, streamers. DLive is an American live streaming platform founded in 2017. It empowered creators through innovative streaming technology and offered a diverse range of live content to its global community. This is what comes up when you go to their website. It's no more streaming there. They were having trouble with viewer retention. As much as we were posting over there, we kept coming up with really low numbers. There weren't many people on the platform at all. For a while, I was like, what the hell is wrong? Like, why are we not getting any traction here? We've been posting there for months, and it just wasn't generating anything. It's because there was nobody there. So some streamers did have some kind of audience, but it's all fallen apart. It really started, I guess, the decommissioning of DLive began at the beginning of the month. It was still up as of yesterday. I was still live streaming this program last night. Today, though, it's done officially. Some of the live streamers have been scrambling to extract cryptocurrency and payments and content that they had archived over there over the past few weeks. But now it's all over. You know who started that? PewDiePie. Then the platform was sold. PewDiePie. Haven't heard of PewDiePie lately. Speaking of social media influencers, have you been to Kick lately? You know who the king of Kick has been? That clavicular guy, the looks maxing dude. See if he comes up here. Let's see if clavicular. Here we go. Let's go to his channel. He's got problems, or maybe he's been given a gift. It depends on your point of view. I understand clavicular, the looks maxing god. 329,000 followers here, 2,000 there, 900 there, 24/7 clavicular 247. And clavicular, that's his official account, 328,000 followers. Apparently he got a girl prego. Here's his channel right now.
Through the motion. Dude, this is
him live right now.
What's the point? I don't understand.
So,
what?
A few days ago, I guess this girl told him.
What are these questions? What are these fucking questions?
Is that the girl? I think that's the girl there with him.
Member.
I think he's 20 years old.
What are these terms? MPS?
Member preferred sex.
Why does it just say?
Because this was like 20 years ago.
Come on, Clav, get with the lingo, man. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that. See what happens? Maybe something positive will come of it, because maybe young people who are into this manosphere will learn some important lessons as they watch this guy make big mistakes. Big mistakes, indeed. Okay, so what else do we have for you tonight? The Iran offer, there's that. We have seen that Iran has made an offer to Trump and the U.S. on the Strait of Hormuz. New offer. They're offering to, maybe reopen the strait. So according to officials, Tehran is proposing to lift its chokehold on the strategic waterway. Of course, we have about a fifth of all the world's oil passing through there. And if the U.S. ends its naval blockade on Iranian ports and moves to conclude the current conflict, they will end their blockade as well, apparently. So this is something that Caroline Leavitt said they are discussing, but she wouldn't go so far as to say that Trump is considering it. The proposal passed through Pakistani mediators would delay talks on Iran's nuclear program for a later date. And we know that Trump and his national security team did discuss it, as confirmed by Caroline Leavitt. And it all comes, days after the president canceled, or we're told he canceled, planned talks with Iranian officials in Pakistan. But, of course, it didn't look like the official delegation from Iran was actually going to show up and talk to him anyway. So the standoff continues. It is continuing to drive up global oil prices, disrupting shipping. And I'll tell you this, we've got really serious problems percolating, especially in the United States, because of all of this. And it's affecting farmers. This could affect the food supply because it's affecting fertilizer shipments as a result of all of this as well. It's a big problem. Over the past year, the number of farm bankruptcies in the United States has increased, depending on which state, but overall, somewhere around like 50, 60%, depends on what part of the United States you're looking at. There are some states where you're seeing the number of farm bankruptcies has increased like 70%. I'm not making this up. These are actual confirmed stats. Serious. Now, it's not at a crisis level yet because, percentage-wise depends on total numbers. Okay, but you're into hundreds of, farm bankruptcies. And it shows the volatility, the vulnerability of farms. And this is because of a variety of factors. It's because of rising debt loads, weather issues that have affected yields over the past few years, and it's all kind of coming to a head for a lot of these farmers. And there's been an escalation in the number of bankruptcies in total. Now, farmers are ringing the alarm bell because the reduction in the amount of nitrogen fertilizers coming from that part of the world is driving up prices like crazy. And a lot of the farmers are saying they can't afford the fertilizers and can't get enough fertilizer in the United States for their crops. And as a result, we know that yields will be reduced. And some of the farmers are saying they probably won't be able to make it. Warnings, like real serious warnings out there because of this. All of it not really being talked about because we've got this big show going on around Trump all of the time. Amplified now because of this assassination attempt. No attention being paid to this really at all. I remember years ago, remember the Farm Aid concerts? It's because farmers have been, dealing with this up and down, especially family farms and smaller farming operations. And those are the operations that are reporting or sounding the alarm bell. Those are the ones that are under the most stress. And as we've seen the bankruptcies increase, all those smaller farm operations are being swallowed up by big agribusiness, big corporate farming, or bigger farming operations. Maybe not even the biggest, but medium-sized ones or larger ones, swallowing up those other smaller farms. It's particularly affected by this it's the the grain farmers, the soybean farmers, corn, because of the fertilizers, vegetables, all manner of crops. But then that also affects poultry farmers, dairy, cattle, beef. It affects the whole food chain because that raises the price of feeds and makes it more difficult for those farmers to survive. And this is why the Trump administration is so focused on gaining greater access to the Canadian agricultural markets, in particular dairy, poultry. That's because they've had such an increase in the number of bankruptcies on the U.S. side. in those industries, especially after avian flu hit so hard too. All these factors coming together to form not quite the perfect storm for U.S. farmers, because we've seen it even worse in the past, but a pretty bad storm. They're focused on Canada. He wants access to our market. But that in itself is really problematic for Canada, would be, because these farm operations, they want access to Canada so they can essentially dump their product into the Canadian market, sell into Canada. But the Canadian market, we already supply ourselves through supply management with what we need to eat. The whole system up here is based on supply management. And while I'm a big free market guy, I understand how this system in Canada is designed to provide stability. So we pay, higher prices, but we don't get this roller coaster ride, and ensures that smaller, including family-run farm operations, are more viable, more stable. And so we haven't had the same massive negative impacts on our farms. They're not talking about it. They don't really want to talk about it, but you can look the stats up yourself. It's true. Farm bankruptcies increasing in the United States again. And the solution for Trump is just have the U.S. farmers sell more into Canada. If he does that, I'm just warning you, for those of you out there supporting this end of the trade negotiations, if you're taking the U.S. side on this because you think that you're going to end up just with cheaper milk and save yourself 10 cents, 50 cents on a bag of milk, even $1, maybe, but Farmer Joe down the street from you, a lot of those guys, they're going to be out of business. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And all the people out there who keep saying, we have to defend, we have to protect the family farms in Canada. We have to protect them all. Yeah. A lot of those people, the arguments they're making, it's upside down. And what they're calling for by opening the market, because they're pro-Trumpers, most of them, because they think that they need to get the government out of the way and the government's evil. Well, there appears to be a pretty evil government. No, a lot of the people calling for these, you think about what happened out in BC, up in the middle of the mountains. I won't talk about it again tonight, but that's what they were advocating for. I told you, none of that was what it appeared to be. Ostriches. Poultry. Ostriches are poultry. It's all about access to the markets, man. Big agri, big business, getting access. And it won't even benefit the smaller farmers on the U.S. side. Their solution to fixing their chaotic, vulnerable agricultural sector, vulnerable because of misguided U.S. policies on that side that have led to this roller coaster ride, constant roller coaster ride, and constant march toward consolidation of ownership on the U.S. side into big factory, corporate-owned farms is what's been going on down there. Their solution to solving their problems with their markets is to have us open our market to them so they can do the same thing to us that they've done to themselves. Oh, you don't want to hear that? I don't care. That's the truth. Or at least it's closer to it.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back. Did anybody answer the question? Have you ever heard of a sovereign wealth fund before? Anybody? I'd scroll back here. I haven't really been looking in there like I said I would. Who's Prego 2? Jubilee says she's Prego 2. Caroline Levitt and, yeah, Clavicular's latest arm candy. I don't know. It's pretty awful. Anybody ever hear of a sovereign wealth fund? I think that the problem with Carney is not the problem so much, but the problem that he has is he's going to have trouble explaining what it is to people. He had this news conference today to announce it, and I don't think people even understand what it is. What a sovereign wealth fund is. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm going to scroll back down here and see if anybody's posting anything new. Scroll way up at where Linda says. Heard Carney's death fund wealth. What the? From Jubilee. Death fund. Linda. I'm looking. Anybody? I don't know. I can't see it, Linda. If it's in here, there's too much. Again, that's why I don't really come into the chat too much, because I can't make hide nor hair out of what the heck's going on in there. I have to decipher it all on the fly. So many people chatting and who's saying what and responding to whom. I don't see it. Anyway. Carney is introducing a sovereign wealth fund. And we have zero profit, says exactly Lindy. Here's Lindy. I think the sovereign fund is made from years of profit. Sovereign debt fund says, of course, that's what he's going to say. Made from years of profit. We have no money for this fund, only debt. I would disagree. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to tell you why, too. That's the way that the critics are spinning it and will spin it, but that's because they don't want you to have it. They'd rather just have you taxed. Rosemary Mackey, you tried it. No, they didn't. Rosemary, that's not true. Some countries have these. Norway has one. Some countries in the Middle East have them, especially oil-rich countries have them. And what they do is they set up these funds, and it becomes a instead of just taxing people, money is invested in various ways. It's a fund that is set up. It's like Carney will tell you in this clip that I'm going to run. It's an investment fund. It's not quite like a pension plan, but it is set up for the country, for the people, so that when big projects are initiated, there's a fund set up, and this fund, the money from it, is used to invest in all kinds of different projects, and maybe even things like the stock market or whatever. It will be managed, they're always managed, or if they're managed properly, by an arm's length board of directors or an investment management firm. And in this case, it will be managed by an arm's length board of directors, not by the government itself. A chunk of money set aside for this investment fund, and that's what they do with it. It becomes money for an investment, for investments into major projects. It's so the idea is that if you have resources, for instance, that need to be developed, there would be a private company that would come in and take the lead by investing X billions of dollars in, say, the development of, it could be lumber, it could be nickel, it could be uranium, it could be oil. They have like a development project for that, or it could even, in this case, I think they're talking about other major projects, maybe other kinds of resources, including maybe even AI or whatever it might be. And a lot of these sovereign wealth funds go beyond that, and they just they'll invest in the stock market or T-bills or whatever other kinds of investments the board of directors would determine would be profitable, which is the point of the whole thing. But the money is there not directly for government, it's there for the people. It's there for the country, so that it becomes another line of capital available for the development of projects and to extract resources, which can then be turned into something profitable. And then the money comes back into the fund, and then it gets reinvested, and over time the whole fund grows. It's not unlike a pension plan that you start to put money into over time, and but you don't just let it just sit there in a bank account collecting minimal interest. You would invest it smartly, generally in blue chip stocks that are safe, and then it would grow over time. That's what these sovereign wealth funds do. Some Middle Eastern countries, recognizing that eventually their oil reserves will dry up, have been investing for many, many years, building up huge sovereign wealth funds so that they're turning a portion of the resource that's extracted from the ground and then sold off into a fund that is then invested and grows over time, so that when the day comes and there's no more oil left, and that will come 50, 100, 150, whatever number of years it is, or if oil falls out of favor, then you have this huge fund that has been developed or grown over time. And it's there for the people and for the country. Now, in this case, as I understand it, and the details still being worked out, I watched his news conference today. What I took from it is that the fund will grow over time. The money will be invested in projects. The money then will realize returns. The money, the returns on the investment then come back into the fund. It grows, and then they can be reinvested, and it grows and grows and grows. The opportunity on an individual basis is that if you want to invest in it directly, you can invest in the fund too, just like you would buy like a Canada savings bond or some other kind of government backed investment. The fund is going to come with some sort of a guarantee for individual Canadians who choose to invest in it. So you could start putting a little bit of your paycheck into that every paycheck, and over time you would invest. Like, you could put $500 into it, and then you would then reap dividends over time from that, and a return on that investment over time. It would grow along with the sovereign wealth fund. So you can benefit directly from it, or collectively the country benefits because of the investment. So it's not like true socialism. It's a hybrid model, combining capitalism, free market capitalism, and the discipline of that, because you also have these private companies that sort of take the lead on whether these projects are viable, because they would have to do their due diligence, and then because they're taking risk, their investments are not guaranteed by the government. They would have to make prudent financial decisions on whether they're going to invest in projects and not just haphazardly do things thinking that the government's going to back it all up. The government might invest in it. The Sovereign Wealth Fund could also invest in projects. The private companies take the lead on it. They make the decisions on whether the projects are, if there was something they want to invest in. The board of directors then looks at what the private company is doing. They make a decision on whether they think that's sound. And if it is, then they can put a portion of the money into that as an investment that can pay back over time, reap rewards, which then go back into the fund. And if you've invested in that, in the fund, then you would get a dividend back on that as well, or a return on your investment over time. It's an investment. Setting it up today with, I think, $25 billion is what the plan is. And then from there, it's designed to grow over time. It's an investment. As opposed to just like taxing Canadians, then taking money and then handing it over in the terms of grants or subsidies to big companies in order to incentivize them to come in. It comes from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and then the Sovereign Wealth Fund becomes a stakeholder in the project. And because you basically own a part of the project through the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And because you're a part owner, then you get a part of the profits back. It ensures that it's an opportunity for the country to benefit over time, to profit, share in the profits of our own resources, to share in the profits of these projects. Carney today comparing it to the development of this CPR, the railway across the country, but highlighting the fact that really over time, the profits from the railway, which tied the country together and facilitated massive economic expansion because you had the ability to transport people and goods across the country, coast to coast, highlighting the fact that the profits from that, like the actual railroad, never really came back to the people. It went to the big business people, the corporations, the companies that were involved in all of that. Anyway, I'm going to run a little bit of what Carney said today. You can assess for yourself. A lot of people won't like it because I think a lot of people probably just don't understand what it really is. And personally, my take on it is I don't really have a problem with it at all if it's administered properly, because it combines the public interest with an opportunity for individual Canadians to invest directly in it in a safe way, because the individual investments will be guaranteed by the government, at least the principal will be, which means you won't have the risk of losing the money you invest in it. If there's a profit to be had, you'll reap a reward to one degree or another, whatever that amount is, I don't know. That's still to be determined. But you would reap a reward back. But if everything went bust, you wouldn't lose your full investment. So there's that aspect to it. It's an investment fund, an account with government backing for individuals, but not likely for the big corporations directly. You can listen to what he says, and I've seen a lot of spin on this today. But partisan politics aside, this is major. This is a pretty major deal. You can look at countries like Norway. Libya had one of these things at one point. I don't know if theirs is still in place. A lot of countries have these set up. Canada's never had one. Alaska has a version of one. I think some other states may as well. I don't think the United States has one. In any event, here we go. Just listen to what he says. He kind of explains it maybe better than I did.
So here's how it works. A sovereign wealth fund is essentially a national savings and investment account. It's designed to grow wealth for future generations of Canadians. Many countries that are blessed with natural resources, like Norway, have sovereign wealth funds. Canada hasn't had one until now. The new Canada Strong Fund will give all Canadians a direct stake in building Canada strong. Now, to be clear, just like with the construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway 150 years ago, Canada's major projects will mostly be built by private companies. And just as in the 1870s, the federal government will support these projects through loans, grants, and other incentives. And we do this because these projects have wider benefits to our economies, benefits that exceed the private returns. I'll give an example. Expanding the port of Montreal at Contrecoeur will unlock new markets for thousands of Canadian businesses and create hundreds of thousands of jobs for Canadian workers. So, until now, while those wider benefits flowed to the Canadian economy, flowed to our country, the financial returns of the projects themselves flowed only to those who built and ran them. That changes today. When the CPR was built, the government of the day granted a private monopoly to the company. Today, to create wealth for Canadians today and our kids tomorrow, the Canada Strong Fund will invest alongside the private sector in nation-building projects on a fully commercial basis. We will begin with an initial endowment of $25 billion. Over time, the fund will grow through asset recycling and reinvestment, creating even greater opportunities for future generations. We will also do something else that's new and important. For those Canadians who want to participate in an even more direct way, we will make it easy for individual Canadians to invest in the fund and therefore own a small piece of nation-building projects and share in their returns. The fund will be professionally managed and operate as an arm's-length independent Crown corporation. And we'll consult over the coming months on the specific aspects of the fund. But one thing is sure, it will be accessible to everyone, not just a few. Because the Canada Strong Fund is about solidarity amongst Canadians, no matter where they live. So whether a project is in Alberta, Quebec, or in the far north, high north, all Canadians will have a stake. Because this is about ensuring that you and your children and your children's children benefit from the prosperity that we are creating today. You know, in many ways, we're walking today the same path as our predecessors did. We have the same conviction that ambition and drive can change the course of a nation. We have the same catalytic role for government to make nation-building projects happen. We have the same reliance on private enterprise to build and run these businesses. But at the same time, we've also learned from our past. The Canadian Pacific Railway transformed Canada, but it did so in a way that also left deep scars. Indigenous peoples were displaced from their lands. Thousands of workers toiled in appalling conditions. And the wealth that was created accrued to the few, not the many. Three things are different this time. This time we are building with Indigenous peoples as full partners, ensuring meaningful Indigenous ownership and major economic benefits. This time, we are building in solidarity with Canadian workers, creating hundreds of thousands of high-paying union jobs. And this time, for the first time in our history, every Canadian will hold a direct stake in what's built. Because we know that nation building is not just about what we build, it's also about how we build. We are building together with all Canadians and for all Canadians. Nous bâtissons une économie plus forte, plus autonome et plus résiliente.
I don't know if you guys understand what he's just said. He'll have some difficulty getting this across to people, but what he's unleashing there is powerful. I hope the opportunity isn't missed because of a bunch of political rhetoric and spin and BS. This is an opportunity. The government is putting up a chunk of money for the country, for the people, an investment fund that will allow the combined force of this capital fund to capitalize projects so that the resources that are sitting in the ground can then be turned into wealth that can be shared, not just with big corporations and big oligarchs and powerful people, but with the people and the country as a whole, and even individuals. You, me, everybody can invest in this and realize some rate of return as the investment comes back. It's far more efficient than just taxing people and giving money to big corporate interests in order to entice them to come in and invest in major projects. This is, in my mind, a lot better than what we've seen under Trudeau, where they were giving millions of dollars to Loblaws for new refrigeration units, which I totally oppose to that. That, to me, it's like they don't need it. Why would you do that? And yet it happens. That kind of stuff has been going on. Not saying it's not going to continue to go on, even under the Liberals, but it's a major deal. And it's an investment in the future. It's an investment in our kids and our grandkids and for future generations so that we do build a much stronger country. And it is not like straight up socialism. It is an investment fund that is still bound by the disciplines of free market economics, because it's private companies that really are out there in front taking the risks and making the determinations on whether the projects are viable or not. So you bring those forces to bear, but at the same time, it then creates a dynamic where everybody owns a share in it. I don't see the downside. Of course, you're going to get the political critics out there saying, well, we can't afford it, and it's just straight up debt. Man, I'm telling you, in order to get anything done the way that everything is set, if you just keep doing it the way you're doing it, then there won't be any return other than the residual or the market linkages that come from projects that realize fruition over time. But government just dumping like they did with the electric vehicle industry and the battery plants and the retooling of automotive facilities up here. And I was like, we shouldn't be doing this, because you've got massive amounts of government money being dumped into these auto companies in order to really kind of force them to electrify their industry. And I said, if it doesn't work, we're all screwed. Because the government doesn't get like dividends. They don't own a share of it. They get to tax it at the end of the day. But this isn't about taxing the corporations. It's about partnering with them, but not through like the typical public-private ownership stuff. This is like you become an investor alongside the parent company. Minimal risk and really no risk to the individual investor other than opportunity cost and possible non-realization of profit if a potential project goes bust. But you're going into a collective fund, and these funds, they all go up in value over time because they invest in safer kinds of investments and that are administered not by the government but by this arm's length board, and the money is set aside so that the government can't just go in there and pilfer it. It's the way these things are set up. That's the way the way it's supposed to be set up. Details to come. I'm not seeing the downside. I'll tell you this, like, what are we seeing from Polyev? I've seen two things from him over the past couple of days. Number one, well, I'll say that I'll flip it around because this is the more complicated one. He was on one of the big U.S. Live streams, and it looked to me like a paid advertisement because the way he was using this like plate or tray with sand on it or something, and he was putting models of houses and stuff on, and he was talking about housing affordability, and the stats that he was coming up with were accurate. But the approach to dealing with the housing crisis, again, short-sighted, ill-advised, because he's just talking about the solution to the housing crisis is a direct line for him to just build more houses in order to get prices to come down. But it's not that simple because high housing prices, high real estate prices are a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if you have really expensive homes, which Canada does, because they've appreciated in value so much over the past, like, even 40 years, since the 70s, more than quadrupled the value of homes in Canada on average. In some cases, I would say a lot more. Those are the stats that are out there. But then he's sitting there saying, all we have to do is build more houses faster, just reduce regulations and get out of the way and let people build more houses. Therefore, that's the solution. It's not that simple, because if you take that approach and you don't do it responsibly, and then you get like a lot of houses being built, you know what happens to the value of the houses that are already out there and the homes, the real estate? It can tank. And if that happens, now you've got a financial crisis on your hands. He doesn't talk about that. It has to be finessed. People have their life savings built into the value of homes. Boomers, other people have worked their whole lives at slaving away to pay off their mortgages. And then over time, Canada, the way that the economy has been working, a lot of people, that's their retirement fund. If you just build a bunch of homes really quickly, that's the increase in the supply will result in a decline in price value of the existing inventory of homes. People will lose value. And then depending on what the situation is with individual mortgages and ability to pay and interest rates, it could cause a collapse in the housing market, which could then trigger a much wider financial crisis throughout the economy. You need to do it in a very thoughtful, strategic way. Carney, when he talks about it, I read the housing plans from both of them. He talks about building affordable homes, which is the approach really that will have the least negative impact on home values for those who have accumulated wealth over time, because it will afford the opportunity to entry-level consumers, first-time home buyers, to come in and buy lower end affordable homes to get into the marketplace. And then from there, build up. If you build homes in that price range, it will have less of an impact on high value homes. If you just get all the regulations out of the way and just have a free for all and let the market decide entirely on its own, it then becomes like who can pay, who can't pay. It may not have the impact that you want it to have because there will also be government incentives and programs attached to the deregulation, which will have unforeseen, unexpected, or unintended consequences. It has to be done carefully. Anyway, that's what Poilievre's been talking about. A lot of truth in it, but not a full solution, in my view, at all. It's not the solution. You've got immigration, which is also a big problem. Too many people coming in, increasing demand, not enough houses being built. This is something I've talked about for a long time, too. You need to get a handle on the number of people coming into the country because it's distorting the market. It's causing prices to skyrocket. Too many people coming in too fast, not enough homes being built. And these are the complicated issues. You read the housing plans. Anyway, that's a sidebar issue. The point is, that's what Poilievre's been hammering on the last few days. Same stuff he's been talking about since the last election. And then the other thing is, Carney's sitting there talking about building the nation, coming up with these bigger ideas, unique ideas that proven to work in many other countries, in spite of what Rosemary Mack is talking about in the chat. I'm not looking in there right now. She's wrong. Because it does work in many, many countries. It's an investment fund. He's talking about doing something on a much grander scale. He has a vision. And Canadians will get behind a vision. What's Poilievre come out with? What's their campaign for the summer? Cut the gas tax for the rest of the year. That's their big idea. That's his big idea. I'm in favor of cutting taxes. Fine. But dude, Pierre, Carney already did it until the end of September. So how many more months what's his whole campaign about really? It's about, okay, to the end of September, so you got October, November, December for 3 more months until you should extend it to the end of the year. That's his whole campaign. Think about it. That's his big idea. That's what they're going to hammer on for the whole summer, which is just a regurgitation, a repeat of what we saw last year, which was axe the tax, axe the tax, axe the tax. So Carney comes along. They kick Trudeau out, right? And Carney says, yeah, you know what? I think I'll axe the tax. So they axed the tax. Then the Conservatives don't know what the hell to do because they lost their whole campaign. The whole platform just went south. They couldn't figure out how to pivot. They lost the frickin' election. It was theirs to walk away with. But they couldn't pivot because all they had was axe the tax, axe the tax. That's all that they ever talk about. That's all he's talking about now. All you're going to hear about all summer from Poilievre is, you should axe the gas tax till the end of the whole year. So what? The best you can do, the most creative, the most thoughtful, forward-thinking, the most visionary thing you can do is come up with, we need more of what Mark Carney and the Liberals have just done. We need you to do more of it for an extra 3 months. That's what they're calling for. That's it. Then Carney comes along with this, saying, we can do this for the people. We can do this for the country. And it's not just straight up socialism. It's an investment fund. This is a way to use capitalism by investing capital using capitalism and free market forces by combining, partnering with big companies, private companies, in a private investment way that benefits all people, and you can even invest in it directly yourself, privately. It's not a government-run investment fund. It won't be. Social implications, social benefits with free market discipline. That is powerful. Or you can vote for the other guy who says we should do more of what Mark Carney is doing for an extra 3 months. Axe the tax. That's not a vision. That's barely a plan. Somehow, he's lost the script, man. I want to like him. But you've got to do better. You've just got to do better. People are not going to vote for you. And especially when you go around being so negative all the time. And he's shifted back to more negativity again. Well, on the other side, you have somebody talking about building a country in the face of what is truly a serious threat from the White House right now. An assault on our country. And that's the other thing you're getting from Poilievre, too. It's just like, we should just give Trump whatever he wants, is basically what we're being told. Bend the knee, just let them have whatever they want, and then we'll be fine. Not. Because as soon as you bend the knee to this guy, he's just going to demand more. I've seen it with other leaders who have stood up to him, and he respects strength. That's why you saw the power shake between him and the king, and the king was having none of it. He knew it was coming. Hell, man, the guy's got the power of a vampire in him, right? Whatever. Who's lying? Who's lying? CBC, CTV, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Fox News, Sinclair Broadcasting.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things they simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm looking in there. Linda, I see, is posting. And Rosemary Mack. Just looking in the chat. No 1272B51. Negativity is honest, he says, in reality. Carney promises rainbows and unicorns. Maybe. Yeah. You're negative. That's what you are. And you want to break the country up. Because you want to be the 51st state. B51. That's why you're in there every night, hammering on this. And Linda. Linda. Yeah, you did, Linda. You sent me all that info the other night. Respectfully, your methodology, I'm sorry. No. I can talk about it more another night if you want, but no. Not really. You're following method. You're looking at things and connecting things that really, no. What you were doing was not accurate. Anyway, you guys don't know what I'm talking about because you didn't see what I saw. And I understand your concerns. I do, Linda. And there's a lot of validity in your concerns. But no, where you ended up was not. You got to a wrong destination. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about it more another night. Although I'll tell you this, I keep running, because of what people send me. I've realized that I'm often being led down side roads in order to respond in ways that maybe go too far as I respond to messages and things that people ask me to look at. Sometimes I think it's okay, but I think I've been doing maybe a little too much of it because it hasn't served the overall, the general audience the best. I'm allowing myself to be influenced, led around a little bit too much by people who send me emails, messages, and sometimes even stuff in the chat. But I'll give it more consideration. I need to stay focused, though, on making sure I serve everybody the best I can, because that's my mandate, is to serve you guys. And to not sugarcoat things and be as honest and truthful as I can be in order to get you guys closer to the truth. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've got all the answers or that I have absolute truth on everything. I don't. Can't even tell sometimes what is real anymore. And honestly, I don't know what to make of the circus over at the White House and in Washington. No, 1272B51, it's not just my opinion. When it is my opinion, I highlight that and I tell you when it's my opinion. But what I do bring to you is factual information and proper context on things. And then when I inject my opinion, I highlight that for you. It's not just my opinion. You, on the other hand, you have pretty heavy-duty opinions and skewed bias, for sure, toward breaking up the country, which I'm opposed to vehemently. And so, yeah, Sharon, I think that we all need to hear more about this sovereign wealth fund. And it's something that I've known about other countries having sovereign wealth funds for a long time. Canada doesn't have one. And these are set up for the people. It's a way to turn a portion of profits from the resources, the shared wealth of the country that we have right now, as that's monetized when it's turned in, when it comes out of the ground or when the trees are chopped down or when any of these assets that we have as a country are turned into wealth, it ensures that we, the people, for lack of a better term, which is a very American thing, but it ensures that all the people benefit in the long run and that there's ongoing prosperity over decades, generations, all the way into the future, so that our kids, grandkids, all future generations will benefit from what we have today in order to secure a bright future for everyone, because it will be a bit of it invested. It's just like setting aside some money all the time, and then it builds up over time. Over our lifetime, we work toward a retirement. But a country never retires as long as it remains a country. And ensuring that people have resources available to them over time is vital for the long-term viability of any country. It makes sure that we all get to benefit. Everybody. But it's not just the government nationalizing the oil industry, like taking it over. It isn't the government just taxing big companies or taxing individuals or taxing you and then giving your money to a big company in order to get them to do something, or vice versa. It isn't just a bunch of socialists sitting around saying, tax the rich, eat the rich. It isn't that. It's saying, hey, if we all work together, we can all profit in the end. We'll share in the profits and we'll share in the investment. Tell me what's wrong with that. I don't see a downside as long as it's properly managed and it's set up so that the government can't just go in there and pilfer it later. Even the Canadian pension plan, I mean, that's all arm's length. People think that the government can just go in and steal all that money, but it doesn't really quite work that way. In any event, enough of that from me at the moment. We're going to go here now to the House of Commons and question period, where Poilievre, the beef that you have coming from the Conservative side, of course, on this is that it's being done with borrowed money, increasing the debt to $25 billion. Yes and no. Of course, it's going to be borrowed money. That's because the country is in debt. The only way the government doesn't do something with borrowed money is if you paid off all the debt and then said, we're going to do this. But that would take a long, long time. This is practical. It's pragmatic. It's the government saying, here's a bunch of money. We're going to put it over there. And if invested properly, it should grow at a faster rate than inflation, and it will. And it will reap benefits over time. It will grow faster than the debt because it's a private investment fund for the benefit of all Canadians. Let's go to question period. Here's how it went down today in the House. And I'm surprised, honestly, that Poilievre didn't just lead right out of the gate with the Sovereign Wealth Fund, but here we go.
Oral questions, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Here's a question for the Prime Minister. According to the Journal de Montréal, as this Liberal Prime Minister continues to pay this country's bills on credit card, meanwhile, half of Quebecers over 50 years old fear not having enough money for their retirement. Also, 2 times more Quebecers now have to go back to work after retirement in order to make ends meet. This is after 10 years of inflationary deficits and taxes, yet this Prime Minister continues to increase spending. Will he stop the inflationary spending, or does he want to continue to put this onto seniors and pay on credit card? The Honourable Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, I know it's Monday and the Leader of the Opposition doesn't have any good news, but we, Mr. Speaker, we have good news this morning. Canada's first sovereign fund. A strong plan for a strong Canada, a strong fund that will allow us to create shared collective wealth. It will also allow us to build great major projects from coast to coast to coast. This fund will have us shine among all G7 countries, Mr. Speaker. Let's all celebrate Canada, a strong fund for a strong Canada. A sovereign fund without funds, though, because there's no funds. There's just debt. It's a budget on credit. More debt, more costs, more inflation, more taxes, more of the same. This Prime Minister is just yet another Liberal. This Prime Minister inherited a terrible deficit of $31 billion from Justin Trudeau. Then he added another $90 billion in inflationary spending. Question. Tomorrow, will he reduce the deficit, or will he put this all on Canadians' credit cards and increase the cost of living even further? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I have even more good news for the Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, recently, the International Monetary Fund said that Canada is the G7 country with the second highest economic growth in the G7, and our growth is twice as fast as Germany's. Almost 3 times faster than Italy's economic growth, Mr. Speaker. This morning, we're announcing a sovereign fund, Mr. Speaker, to allow Canadians from coast to coast of this huge country to build this country up with us, to create collective wealth and to build huge projects. Let's celebrate that.
More costs, more taxes. This Prime Minister is just another Liberal. This Liberal government doubled the debt, doubled housing costs, doubled food bank lineups, and the previous Prime Minister left behind an outrageous $31 billion deficit for this fiscal year. Since that time, the new Liberal Prime Minister has been spending at even higher rates and putting it on the national credit card. That means the bankers make more and Canadian workers and seniors keep less. Will the Prime Minister at least cap the deficit at Trudeau's $31 billion, or will he break through that limit and put it on the credit card?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I know the Leader of the Opposition is looking for good news. Well, I have good news, Mr. Speaker. You'll have to update his QP cards because, Mr. Speaker, we announced the first Canadian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mr. Speaker. A fund to build Canada strong, a fund that will allow Canadians to build this country like never before, to invest in projects across this country, to allow Canadians to invest alongside the government, to make sure that we all benefit. Mr. Speaker, this is the essence of a Canada for all. We're building together, we'll benefit together. Mr. Speaker, let's build Canada strong together.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The question was for the Prime Minister, who's again in hiding, and instead what we got is a man talking about a sovereign.
I don't know if it's metaphorical. If it is, it's a bit of a stretch. But I just want to warn the honourable member who knows better to avoid those kinds of allusions. He may continue.
Mr. Speaker, you need to actually have wealth for a sovereign wealth fund. What this Liberal Prime Minister is proposing to do is use the credit card in order to take $25 billion and put it into a Liberal slush fund, Mr. Speaker. This after the Liberal government doubled the debt and gave us the worst inflation in 40 years. This Prime Minister is spending more taxes, more costs, more of the same. Will he put it all on the nation's credit card again tomorrow?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, let me help the Leader of the Opposition. After all, it's Monday. Let me help him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the International Monetary Fund just said last week that Canada is the strongest fiscal position of the G7. Mr. Speaker, the Canadian economy has the second fastest growth in the G7, growing almost twice as the one in Germany, almost twice as much as Japan, almost 3 times as our colleagues in Italy, Mr. Speaker. Canadian economy is strong, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong together. We're going to have our Canada Strong Fund. Canadians will benefit.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister Minister can't answer questions in the House of Commons because he's been wrong on every single major economic issue of our time. And the results are what Canadians are paying for now. More costs, more debt, more taxes, more of the same. In fact, this Prime Minister has given Canada the worst food inflation in the G7, the worst household debt in the G7, the worst housing costs in the G7, the second highest unemployment in the G7. And tomorrow, he intends to put it all on the national credit card. Trudeau had a $31 billion deficit left over for this year. Will he break through that limit and put that on the national credit card as well?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, inflation has been in the Bank of Canada's target zone and has been for some time, but we are continuously intrigued by this notion about inflationary spending. So we just want to ask and have him answer with absolute clarity, the Leader of the Opposition. Is it the Canada Child Benefit that is inflationary? Is it the Canada Disability Benefit? Is it the Canadian Dental Care Plan? Is it the Groceries and Essentials Benefit? Is it Old Age Security? Exactly what is inflationary spending in the eyes of the Leader of the Opposition?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, I'm glad he asked because I got some direct answers. This is how you answer a question. What is inflationary spending? $90 billion for the wasteful Alto project. $1 billion for a gun grab that the public safety minister admits will not stop crime. $20 billion, that's double, for consultants. 7% increase in the spending on the national bureaucracy. Over $1 billion in handouts to fake and phony refugees. A 100% increase in spending on corporate welfare. It's all inflationary spending. Will they stop putting it on the national credit card and get rid of it instead?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
In the eyes of Mr. Speaker, in the
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Even this Leader of the Opposition, it's pretty hard to say that money that hasn't been spent yet is inflationary.
Right.
We have not yet, although we will be building high-speed rail as part of our plan to build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker. But let me keep going on the list. The Canada Workers Benefit, is that inflationary spending? Is it the National School Food Program? Is it Canada student loans? What exactly, in the eyes of the Leader of the Opposition, is inflationary spending? Will he
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is not getting any breaks from the Trump administration and the tariff crisis. What's more, tomorrow is his one-year Prime Minister-versary, but the situation is worse than when he first took office. The new U.S. tariff calculations are a direct attack on our economy. By taxing all products containing steel or aluminum at their full value, Washington is disproportionately targeting Quebec and our manufacturing SMEs. Our workers and businesses can no longer afford to wait for a savior. When will there be a wage subsidy to protect them from layoffs? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague is right about something. We totally disagree with the White House's new interpretation of tariffs and calculations. We've had many conversations with the manufacturing industry in Quebec and across the country, and that's exactly why we will be there to help our business leaders and workers throughout the country. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, since the Prime Minister's election a year ago, as of tomorrow, the situation with Donald Trump has not improved. In fact, it has gotten worse. And that is why tomorrow the Prime Minister must finally step in to help Quebec's economy. He has been making empty promises about getting results for Quebec's economy for a year now. We need a wage subsidy to prevent a wave of layoffs. We must support our forestry industry in the face of illegal U.S. tariffs. We must get back to reforming employment insurance. And the list of action we need to take goes on. Tomorrow, will the Prime Minister finally seize the opportunity? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, Quebec's Premier is in Washington today. We will, of course, work with her, knowing that she will stand up for Quebec's workers and businesses. I had the opportunity to discuss this with her, as did the Prime Minister. We're there for businesses. We already have various ways of supporting investments in our businesses, but we're going to do even more, and I'll be very happy to work with my colleague to defend Quebec's workers. Thank you.
Joliette Manawan.
The Honourable Member for Joliette Manawan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We need to save jobs. It's time for Ottawa to wake up to how serious the situation is with the new tariff calculations. You know, South Shore Furniture this morning announced that it's closing, renouncing the loss of 126 jobs in Sainte Croix and Coaticook. In Joliette, the small business Liard Industrie has to pay 5 times more than before in unfair tariffs. ADF in Terrebonne, Max Atlas in Saint-Jean-Richelieu, everyone is struggling in all of the regions. Will Quebec tomorrow announce a wage subsidy to prevent layoffs? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a call with the president of ADF in Terrebonne and also with PRP and many businesses. We have a lot of information about what businesses are experiencing right now. We understand that the new tariff calculations have negative consequences for our businesses and our workers. We've been there for them since the beginning of the tariff war. We're still here, and we will be there for them tomorrow, too. Thank you.
The minister took office. He pledged to spend less than Justin Trudeau. Instead, he added $90 billion of net new spending, 2/3 of that on day-to-day operation. Bureaucracy up 7%. Operating costs up 9%, all higher than his promised savings. He's putting the nation's finances on a credit card and pretending all of that is normal. So will the Prime Minister commit today that his deficit will not exceed the already excessive $31 billion Justin Trudeau left behind, or has he simply grabbed Trudeau's credit card and asked for a higher limit?
Yeah. Wow. The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, that leader talks about presence in the House. He's been here for 22 years and has produced nothing. Let's look at some economic facts. Best fiscal position in the G7. Second fastest growing economy in the G7. Best net debt to GDP in the G7. Wages are outpacing inflation. Mr. Speaker, it's time for that leader and that party to stop the bizarre press conferences, stop the podcast tours, help us build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, nobody thought it was possible to outspend Justin Trudeau, and here we are with the same cast of characters sitting in the exact same seats saying the same thing. He doubled last year's deficit and sent the bill to Canadian kitchen tables, the worst grocery prices, the highest household debt, the worst housing costs in the G7. Those are the actual facts. When Liberals doubled the debt, they doubled the food bank lineups and they doubled the rent, passing on the balance from the credit card onto every Canadian family. So will the Prime Minister stop the credit card budgeting, or does he think Canadians can also just apply for a higher limit?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister for Jobs and Families.
All across Canada, Canadians have been pulling together to make sure that we build Canada strong. I would challenge the member from the opposite party to ask herself, why is it she's voting against kids getting food in school? Why is it she's voting against affordable childcare? Why does she vote against skilled tradespeople having the opportunity to fill their apprenticeship and actually get those great jobs? Why is she voting against investments in infrastructure, in housing, in water? Mr. Speaker, it doesn't matter what solution we propose. Those guys are against Canada and Canadians.
Let's try not to impugn the motives more than... Anyway, the Honourable Member for Calgary East.
The only surplus his Prime Minister knows is the one in his offshore tax haven. The guy literally doubled Trudeau's deficit and gave Canadians the worst food inflation in the G7 and the worst household debt in the G7. And tomorrow he's going to table another costly credit card budget, put it on the national credit card, all on the backs of Canadians. So will this Prime Minister end his credit card budgeting so Canadians can finally afford to live?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, well, they're complaining. This is what we're doing. We're getting things built. On Friday, we announced the $4.4 billion expansion of the Sunrise Pipeline project. That generates $3.3 billion in annual GDP. It adds 2,500 construction jobs this summer. It adds $700 million in tax revenue to BC and the federal government to build Canada strong. That's what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
The only thing these guys have built so far is literally 12 bureaucracies, nothing else. And this Prime Minister said he would spend less. And after a year after that, he's increased bureaucracy, he's increased consultants, and he's increased the deficit. All on the national credit card, all on the backs of Canadians. Once again, will they end their credit card budgeting so Canadians can finally afford to live?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think he heard me. $3.3 billion in annual GDP, 2,500 new jobs, $700 million in new tax revenues. These guys just can't see something good when it's ready to hit them right between the eyes.
The honourable member for Calgary Crowfoot.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the cost of government drives up the cost of living. The more the government spends, the more things cost. Since 2015, the Liberals have doubled the debt while doubling housing costs and food bank lineups. And this Prime Minister doubled Justin Trudeau's deficit, proving that he's just another Liberal. Can he commit that tomorrow's deficit announcement will not be higher than the already reckless, inflationary $31 billion deficit that Justin Trudeau left behind? Yes or no?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, the building trades are in town this week, and I'm excited to talk about our plan to build. We're building big, we're building bold, we're building across this country. From BC to Newfoundland, we're going to be creating good jobs in the skilled trades, Mr. Speaker, using Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian aluminum, Mr. Speaker. We're building. It's time to invest. When will they get on board? Probably never.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Crowfoot.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this government inherited a balanced budget and then spent the last 10 years borrowing, spending, squandering, and taxing hundreds of billions of dollars while homeownership slipped out of reach for the middle class and millions more can't afford groceries. For the last 10 years, Canada should have been building pipelines, houses, ports, and roads, but these Liberals built bureaucracies, slush funds, and debt repayments. So again, will the deficit exceed $31 billion, yes or no?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
It's the time to invest, and that's what we're doing. We're building big. But listen, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives can't claim they care about affordability while fighting it at every turn. They voted against affordable housing. They voted against childcare. They voted against dental care, Mr. Speaker. They voted against support for families. They can't have it both ways.
Here, here.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton South East.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister took office, the projected deficit was $31 billion. He promised to spend less. Instead, he spent more. He piled on $90 billion in new spending. Not on results, but on bigger government. Bureaucracy is up, costs are up, and Canadians are paying the price. Will the Prime Minister commit today that his deficit will not exceed the already outrageous $31 billion left behind by his predecessor? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is not business as usual for our economy, so let's stick to the facts. Since September, Canada's created over 94,000 jobs, growth and strong growth right across the country. Canada now has the highest employment rate compared to the United States. This is driven predominantly by women entering the force and joining because of our strong policies, Mr. Speaker. Wages are up by 4.7%, faster than inflation, meaning more Canadians are keeping more of what they earn, Mr. Speaker. That is how we're taking care of Canadians and growing Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Natural Resources confirmed last week that he wants to invest $10 billion of public money in a new dirty oil pipeline. That's $10 billion in public money on top of the $34 billion we already paid for the Trans Mountain pipeline. Today, the Liberals are announcing that they will create a sovereign wealth fund, yet another federal scheme to invest public funds in the energy sector, namely in pipelines. Is there any limit to the debt that Liberals are willing to saddle Quebecers with in order to prop up oil and gas companies? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, unlike what the Bloc is claiming, we will build in all of Canada's regions. That's why we are developing our ports like Contrecoeur, like the Port of Quebec. There was an announcement about that on Friday. We will invest in mines and in the mining sector too. And unlike what the member for Mirabel says, we will invest in regions like the Laurentians. The upper and lower Laurentians will work with us and invest to build technology, for instance, and to diversify the economy. The honourable member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are headed straight for disaster in the fight against climate change. They're all drill, baby, drill. They've just approved Enbridge's Sunrise Gas Pipeline project, yet another pipeline after Trans Mountain, after Coastal GasLink, and after so many others. And it doesn't end there. The Liberals want to build at least one more oil pipeline in the West on top of Keystone. Not even Stephen Harper's Conservatives ever went this far in ignoring the fight against climate change. And they don't even believe in climate change. Are there any Liberals left with an environmental conscience? And if so, when will they speak up? The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I just attended the G7 Environment Ministers meeting. I met with environment ministers and environment actors from all over the world. What I heard is that when the world looks at Canada, they see that we are a leader in the work we're doing on methane, in the work we're doing on renewable energy. He should be proud of Canada's position in the world in the fight against climate change. We continue to fight, and I hope that he will work with us and support us in that. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le Fjord. Mr.
Okay, enough for tonight of that. Man, you get it on all sides, don't you? The Conservatives are not supposed to be happy. They're supposed to be critical. That's their job. Fine, fair enough. And then you have, well, all of the MPs in opposition. Then you get the Bloc up there going on about climate change while all this pressure is on out there to have pipelines built, and then they get criticized for building pipelines and investing in pipelines that the other side says they're not investing in, and then we're all left sitting here trying to figure out what is actually true and happening. I'll tell you what was very real. It definitely did happen, was that hockey game, which I didn't see the game, but I saw what came after the Ducks and the Oilers, and the controversial goal at the end, where the Ducks, they ruled the goal was a goal. I'll show you what happened here in slow-mo. Right there. And there's the puck right on the goal line, has to cross all the way. And the stick comes in, stuffs it back all the way under the skate, past on the other side of the no-goal zone on the goal line. But was it a goal or not? And I'll tell you, it was ruled a goal, but was it a goal? Oh, man. The emotions, the fighting over this, some people so upset. There's one guy in particular. He's going viral. Have you seen this? This is what alerted me to the whole thing, because I didn't see the game, but I saw this first.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is a scam. You do not see the puck across the line. Bullshit call I don't know how it was called a goal on the ice. Nobody could see anything, and then the replay doesn't show the puck over the line all the way. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is crazy. This is crazy.
It's crazy. Listen, it's crazy because I promised Whit a ride home. Now I'm gonna have to hear about
This is fucking crazy. I don't get the glare in the screen too. There's the light in this video. This is crazy.
It's not good.
So you don't agree either?
I'm on your side. I want to play you now.
I'm telling you right now.
You can't see it, but also it's so clearly.
No, it's not. Dude, how do you say that? You don't understand that if the top of the puck is touching the very, very, very part of the red goal line, it's... I don't get how this is a goal. I swear to God, no, I had no rooting interest in this game, I'd be making the same video less passionately. Right there, that's touching the goal line. I think the top of the puck is touching the red... This is a disgrace to the National Hockey League, and all the calls I've ever seen, this is the worst. The worst call I've ever seen in an NHL playoff game.
Here's this post. I think it shows it most clearly. You can decide for yourself. Oh, man. Does it get any closer? And you can't see it. It was ruled a goal. What do you guys think? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to phone my father and see what he thinks about this. Or maybe I'll call my brother. No. Bad idea. They'll probably be too upset one way or the other. No, they won't. Anyway, that's fun. That is fun. That's hockey. Anyway, guys, I will be back tomorrow with more of the top news stories of the day. And at that point, before I go, see, do we have a decision yet? I don't think so. On Jimmy Kimmel. No. Nothing new. So we still have you completely up to date on that. He hasn't been fired yet, but he is facing pressure, and so is ABC. We'll see. Not sure what tomorrow will bring, but whatever it is, I'll bring it to you right here on the Maverick News Channel at 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side. See you tomorrow.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom and running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as a wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as a wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of the blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the legs. Yeah, the night's getting cold, the sky's turning gray. wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no change. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.